The Hebrew word translated into awe in the Bible is yirah. It often directly translates into fear, like fear of the Lord, but it can also mean respect, reverence, and worship. So why yirah? Proverbs 9:10 says, "The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, and knowledge of the Holy One is understanding." In a world that is so broken and torn apart, I believe is the result from the lack of fear of the Lord. In this podcast, I want to dissect what it means to fear the Lord. Why is there so much evil? Why are so many people broken? What is the answer for a world that is so confused and afraid? In a world where there is unlimited truth, we want to look at the one truth without compromise. That truth is the Word of God.
Like the spiritual side stuff, or like a conspiracy theories, or like aliens and crap.
Well, it's like what we started talking about last time, but about how like there's pretty much like anything that exists is real somewhere. Like there's something real behind it. You know?
Yeah.
So like that's kind of what I want to get at is like there's all these conspiracy theories and people talking about aliens or mythical creatures and stuff, but it's not just nothing. You know, like what is it then?
Yeah.
Like it's not that there's either aliens or there's nothing at all. It might not be aliens, but what is it?
Demons, bro. 100%.
What is it?
I think it's like, so we could just start. Whoever that dude is, that whistleblower or whatever guy, that was like, yeah, I've been in. I don't even know who it is. I haven't watched the video, but it's like that guy who's like, confirmed that
he's all over the internet. He was, I don't know his name either, but he was like a government, like he worked with like top secret stuff, and then
whatever.
He comes out. And
I think all that stuff is. I think that's all bullcrap. That's totally like. I think that's the government, just
putting them up.
Yeah, here you go. Yeah, go ahead. Say that there's aliens. Distract the people. You know, I don't know. I think that's all just a distraction, a ploy, and people want aliens to exist so bad. So it's like, give the people what they want. That's what they just want. Distraction. They just want.
But,
I don't know. I don't think that's anything. But I also, if there were aliens, like I think when we get closer to the end times, I think that there will be aliens, but I think there'll be demons.
Yeah.
Like that's my like. If there ever was aliens, it would be demonic. You know.
Yeah.
Like. And they'd probably be like, "Oh, we're here to save you from your planet," and people.
Yeah. Or. Yeah, I feel like aliens have to, or I feel like they're gonna play some role in how the end times stuff unfolds. Either one, I feel like it makes a lot of sense if like all these people disappear in the rapture.
Mm-hmm.
If Jesus comes back, then it's like oh, like it was the aliens
they abducted them. Yeah.
They abducted them. But the other thing is, so like with the Antichrist and like this leader that will rise up in the end days who's evil.
Mm-hmm.
Well, how is he gonna get so many people to follow him?
Yeah.
Like this is one things I feel like people also won't realize how like sneaky, like the Antichrist will be, or like that leader will be. Because it's not like he just shows up and he's like, I am Satan.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Everyone's going to be like, oh, you're bad. So how is he going to get people to follow him?
Oh, it's going to be so...
Obviously lots of deception, but what I think is possibly all of a sudden aliens start becoming exposed as like the enemy, and the whole world unites to fight our common enemy from outer space. And so people are willing to follow this charismatic leader because he's like, I will lead us. Our war is against the space people now, you know? And so it's like,
Force, dude.
Yeah, what if it's like some way that the like Satan will basically take control of the earth because he's going to say, we're uniting against the aliens, but then actually, it's like in Star Wars when Palpatine literally creates the clone army
Yeah.
to set up like his ultimate plan. So he's fighting against himself. Like he creates a fake enemy to distract people and think they need to fight over here. And then he eventually just takes over as the leader, you
All
know?
right. So you're saying that there's going to be aliens, you know, whatever, like Satan's going to make aliens and then end up being our like humans' enemies?
Yeah, like aliens.
Or like the Antichrist, you're saying?
I'm saying the Antichrist will come probably even, maybe he'll come as also like an intergalactic being or something.
That's what I think.
But
No, I mean, I don't know.
But he'll be like,
imagine.
But aliens are coming and they're coming to destroy the Earth.
Uh-huh.
I will lead you to victory. I'll save you.
Yeah.
Follow me. You know, where normally people would be like, you're my enemy. But we have a great, like, because he's like, yeah, but we both have a greater common enemy, so let's like unite together and fight him.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know. That's just
Yeah,
a really,
nuts.
that's just a theory of one way that it could go down, you know?
Yeah.
Because I just don't think it's going to go down appearing as what it actually is, you know?
Yeah.
Like, there's going to be some kind of deception involved, because that's what Satan does. That's all he's ever done.
Oh, yeah,
is
it's all
deceive.
going to be, obviously, it's all going to be fake.
So how is he going to counterfeit this? How
Yeah.
is he going to trick people?
So
He's going to involve, like,
that'd be nuts, though.
aliens.
Like, if I kind of, that'd be so cool. Well, not necessarily cool, but, like, imagine it's like, dude, like, aliens exist, and, like, they could be, like, lizards or something, you know? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So anyways, that's the intro to this episode.
I just want to say a disclaimer, like, this is kind of like a joke. Not like like we're talking about it, like, oh, you know, this could happen, but it's not like, you got to take it with a grain of salt.
Yeah.
It's not like we're, like, legit, like, think this is... Some of this stuff, I think a lot of conspiracies are real, and, like, there's a lot of spiritual stuff in conspiracy theories.
Yeah.
Or, like, just what's been being revealed. But,
Yeah.
like...
No, we're kind of having some fun talking about
just so
some
people
maybe
don't,
wild out there stuff.
people don't freak out. But
Gonna just take some liberty to just kind of entertain some ideas. But I feel like we kind of do actually have somewhat of a goal still behind this podcast, because like with conspiracy theories or like aliens or mythical creatures or all these things, I'm a firm believer that even if it's not exactly that Bigfoot is real, well, there is something real there.
Right.
Because why? So what? Like, why did people start coming out with the concept of Bigfoot?
right.
What is real there? And same thing with like just conspiracy theories about like government and things happening. Maybe it's not exactly people aren't hitting it right on the head, but they're hitting on something. You know, like
Yeah.
I feel like
think,
there's something real behind
like there's
everything.
a truth behind every conspiracy theory. Like I think you're right, where it's not like someone was just, I'm gonna make up this story and start spreading that and go crazy. Like usually conspiracy theorists are like nutso.
The wild thing to me is like, I feel like it's so easy to just always chalk up every story about an alien abduction, a sighting, a Bigfoot sighting, a sighting of this mythical creature, those kind of things. It's so easy to be like, oh yeah, that's like a bunch of garbage that someone just made up. But why does it keep happening over and over?
Yeah,
and
why
over
are there
again?
so many?
It keeps getting confirmed over and over again by
But
people.
there's never any proof.
There's never proof. But are there that many people tripping on drugs?
Yeah, I don't know.
Like just being insane? Are there that many people looking for attention? And I mean, again,
I think it
could be that they are just completely misperceiving something.
Yeah, I think it totally,
Like-
say, I got abducted by aliens. Like, they could be, like, you know, freaking possessed or something.
No,
you know?
so that's what I'm saying. Like, aliens didn't abduct them, but what happened then? Because something real happened. So,
Right.
Like, you can't just say, oh, you're crazy, you made everything up.
Or they could have been tripping on drugs.
Then what happened is that person was on drugs and they hallucinated.
Yeah,
so they
that's it.
still had a real experience because of the drugs that
In
they
their
took.
brain, 'cause they're
But there's
on
still an
LSD.
answer there. I can pin down the truth behind that.
Yeah.
So I just hate when it's just like, Oh, well, I don't know. We'll never know.
They
Like
just
I like
made
to,
that up.
I want to know what happened. I like to know the truth.
You're right.
behind
You're
it.
right. Yeah, it's
And-
not like, oh, they just. I mean, maybe some people are just so badly want aliens to be real. They're like, oh, I
Could
got
be.
abducted. But I think most of them are probably just like they're tripping on drugs or like some weird.
I also think a huge thing that does happen is there's spiritual experiences, manifestation of demons, some kind of spiritual attack with people who don't believe in a God, who don't believe in the spiritual realm. They're not Christians. They don't have any framework for what they just experienced. So they're just doing their best in their human minds to describe what they experienced. And like if me and you experienced it, we'd be like, oh, that was like a demonic attack. That was like a demon, or oh, that was like a spirit, something happening in the spiritual realm that we're sort of familiar with. But like if somebody didn't have any framework for that and they experienced something like demonic, then their best conclusion would be like, I just saw an alien, or
yeah.
an
Yeah,
alien just walked into my room, or
Yeah.
or like Bigfoot must have just walked by, you know. Like they're just trying their best to like
The
figure
Nephilim.
out what it was.
There's some I didn't even really watch it, but it was like the Nephilim are in the some islands. I don't know, like they're still alive or
Yeah.
something. Maybe.
Well, yeah, that's a whole nother like.
But I
Trail.
think like this, people don't realize, or like Christians don't realize, or just haven't been taught like how spiritual everything is. Mm-hmm. Like you don't want to over spiritualize stuff, but like there's always a spiritual battle going on, you know, type thing, and
Yeah.
like there's always crap going on around us that we aren't
All the time.
aware of, you know. And that's the thing. I think a lot of like the movements are totally just like, you know, spiritual, demonic, like all a distraction to distract your mind, to, you know, get people pinned against each other. I think it's all just a strategy and a ploy eventually to just like tear apart the world. Mm-hmm. You know, it's all part of a plan.
Yeah. Everything has far more meaning than people want to believe. Mm-hmm. And almost nothing happens just for no reason or by accident.
Yeah.
And then that's because of like the spiritual realm.
Yeah.
And the spiritual realm is the most real reality that there is.
Right.
But it's so easy for us to just like forget about it because it's not what we physically touch or
we're
experience.
in the Matrix.
Yeah, because we're in the Matrix. But when you get out of the Matrix, you realize that the spiritual reality is the most real reality there is. But,
Facts.
I mean, we say like different movements, or you said like different movements going on in the world, it's like demonic. I don't even think it means like, I think it's also easy to just like every person who ever does something that is bad or you disagree with, then you're like, oh, they're demon possessed.
Right.
But I don't think it's even that extreme sometimes, but they are participating in something that Satan is behind.
Something
that
that's greater
demons are
than them
behind.
that they don't even know.
Right.
Right.
And that's just part of like Satan's deception, is even getting people to passively follow along with things that he's trying to do to destroy.
Right. For example, the Pride movement, like it's not like, oh, all those people are possessed.
Yeah.
Like they're probably not.
But they're
I mean,
also
some
not.
might be.
But they're also not going in the right direction. They're also not being led by the Spirit, so they just become like a pawn.
Right. And if you like some of the stuff is disgusting. Like it's totally like. I wouldn't be surprised at all if those people are possessed. Like the
100%.
What's
Some of them
the
are.
thing with in front of the Dodger Stadium?
Oh yeah.
You know, where they were like,
they're literally mocking Jesus.
yeah, they were doing
like,
the crucifixion, and who wants to make fun of Christians today? And they're all cheering, and they have drag queens
that's
like
like
whipping
just
Jesus and stuff, and it's like
obviously demonic.
like are those? It'd be hard for me not to believe that those people aren't, you know, possessed. But like, it's not like everyone is like that. But that whole movement it's a demonic movement. Mm-hmm. It's Satan attacking people, in taking their identity. Like, And if you don't think, like, you just think, oh, it's just like it's just like not a good thing. Like, it's nothing, it's not that deep. Like, yeah, it is that deep.
Right.
You know, that's what Satan wants you to think, is like, oh, you know.
We have to be
whatever.
so careful to not fall asleep.
Yeah. If you're
And
asleep,
the way-
it don't matter. He doesn't care.
Yeah, I don't know. We've talked a lot about. I feel like we've in episodes before we talked
Yeah,
about
we
like
have.
what's the appropriate way to respond when you like awake and you start seeing this stuff. We don't
Yeah.
need to get into that, but
Yeah.
do not underestimate the spiritual reality that's behind things happening around you. And when you start to view the world through a spiritual lens and a lens of like understanding eternity, that this life is just a tiny sliver, that we sort of are like hypothetical or like the Matrix is a little bit of actually a good metaphor.
Oh yeah,
And that
it
like
totally-
the Earth is
yeah,
the
it's-
smallest sliver of reality.
Right, it's not real. Well, it's real, but it's like, it's not how life should be.
Yeah. But when you start to kind of view the world through that, things start to make a lot more sense. And you start to have a framework to explain things like aliens and where the mythical creatures come from.
Yeah.
And why is there so much corruption in government all the time? And why do we see this evil over here and this evil over here? And why do we see that? Like, it all of a sudden gives you an explanation for everything when most people are completely at a loss for words as at what is happening, because they're trying to understand it from a worldly, just physical reality perspective. They're trying to understand something spiritually from a physical perspective. So it's just not they're gonna have no like way to frame what they're seeing.
That's like the argument of like believing God, like trying to put God in like, trying to understand God.
Yeah.
Like I was talking to people a few weeks ago. They weren't really Christians. They were like, yeah, I believe in the Bible. And he was like, but where did God come from? And I was like, that's the thing. God is outside of all of this. You can't understand that, because this is all we know. Like, our brains don't go past like what's in this world.
Yeah.
Like we can't fathom anything outside of this reality. Like, because God is outside of time, he's outside of matter, you know, like all that stuff. It doesn't make sense to us, but like that's how he exists and how he's always existed. It doesn't make sense, but it's just, and I was like, it comes down to a faith thing. It comes down to just, well, you either decide to believe or you don't, you know. But yeah, that's the thing. You can't grasp it. But I'm going to say something else. More conspiracy theorist topic, but I forgot.
Yeah, if we're on the vein of like aliens, and yeah, there seems to be a lot of talk about aliens and UFOs or UAPs.
UAP, so
or
like UFO type thing.
It's like or there's talk of like interdimensional beings.
Oh,
and not.
Was there something where they were like they've found an alternate universe? Was that a thing? I feel like I saw something.
I don't know.
Probably.
But like, what are the odds of like maybe that actually being a result of like the Nephilim or these like spiritual beings that like still are on Earth, you know?
Yeah.
Because like, so in the Old Testament, when the Nephilim started, it was like fallen angels,
right?
Mating with like humans,
right?
And then, I don't know. I think some people would say like then they were completely wiped out in like the flood, and that was like actually the biggest reason for the flood.
Oh.
But I'm also like, but what if not all of them? Like, I can't imagine all of them actually did get wiped out, you know? Or like,
what if they were taller than the water?
Or what? They're like Attack on Titan giants.
No, didn't.
Or what if there's still just like, so it happened then. What if there's still like spiritual beings like intermingling with like humans or something.
Maybe.
Or these weird, or like maybe there is some kind of weird, I don't even know.
I was watching a video and the whatever doctor dude was explaining it, and I was kind of working while I was listening, so I half was listening.
Yeah.
But he was saying, I don't know if it was a verse that he was reading, but he was saying that, or maybe it was a theory that God chained them all up, and that was like their punishment. They were like chained and could no longer like marry like these daughters or whatever of humans. And so it sounded like it was like never gonna happen again. That might have just been a theory or something though. But I mean, if that's not true, it's kind of like, from what I've understood, it's kind of like we don't really know exactly what has happened to the Nephilim.
There's not. Well, that's the thing. There's not a clear.
Yeah.
It clearly introduces the Nephilim, but
Right.
to my knowledge, I don't think there's like a clear statement of how the Nephilim just like ceased to exist.
Right.
So like,
But
for all we know, they could still exist or something.
So what? Fallen angels. Right. So what are demons? Aren't they all fallen?
I don't know if
angels?
that's just another word for demons, or if that's like another category.
Can Satan make demons?
So no, but okay. So I was listening to this dude talk on another podcast, and they were getting into this whole old Earth theory, talking about how there had been, before the Garden of Eden, or before our creation account, there was already civilizations, and like for thousands of years, like people existed.
Yeah.
Or if they weren't people, like what they said they think may have happened is that Satan and the people that fell with him, they came to Earth and they said, we're going to make our own like civilizations. We're going to make our own people, but obviously not to the ability that God could create. And so they created these like abominations. Like they created these like half human, like weird humanoid things. And then so that's why you got like weird giants, or like there's like skeletons that have these crazy like abnormal skulls and stuff. Or like, I don't know, I feel like they were getting pretty wild on it, but they were like, maybe even dinosaurs were like an abomination. They created dinosaurs, the demons and Satan, and they weren't supposed to exist, and then God wiped them out. And but it's like, it seems crazy, but it's like, also, what if like Satan did create some crazy abomination humanoid things,
Right.
And then what's the aftermath of that? Or maybe that gives some explanation for all these accounts of like weird mythical creatures and like things that appear somewhat human but are like, or something's wrong there,
Right.
And it would make sense that, so Satan fell in the first place because he wanted to be like God. He wanted to do what God was doing.
Okay.
And so what if he was like, I'm going to go and I'm going to start my own world,
So
Yeah.
yeah, that's a I don't know.
I don't even know what to say about any of that.
Yeah,
but it's
I don't-
just like
I don't either.
an interesting thought.
That is an interesting thought. I'm kind of gonna go back to like the Nephilim. So, like looking at like ancient hieroglyphs and stuff. There's always like crazy like beings and stuff. And,
Right.
And
Or
it's
they
like,
even have,
where
like,
did they come?
they like document like what seems like modern technology in some of them.
Yeah, dude. Oh, I wish I had.
Isn't there something like, it was like something like a cell phone or like...
Yeah, I
or, like,
feel... No,
screens?
I don't know if it was just a clip, but I remember hearing something crazy like that where it was like they had like crazy modern technology.
Yeah.
Like
way
yeah,
back.
like in ancient, like pyramid times. That's the other thing is a pyramid.
Yeah,
like
how do they make the pyramids?
So
It's crazy.
each pyramid brick weighed 2.5 tons. So that's 5,000 pounds. And there was like over 2 million bricks that were laid.
Really?
Something like that, yeah. And without like modern technology,
Yeah.
or like some some crazy being. Like that's the
Well,
biggest
and
like
to think
explanation
about
is
how-
like the Nephilim or
To
something.
think about how tall the pyramids are.
yeah, that's like
how
how
did
did
they
they get
get
the 5,000-pound bricks
brick
all the way up
to
there?
the very top.
Like you're not freaking even if you have 100 guys, you're not lifting that all the way up
Yeah, that's crazy.
to the top. You know?
But maybe they did.
No, I don't. That's hard for me to believe. That's where I'm like, yeah, that had to have been some sort of crazy, like they had super modern technology or the Nephilim or something like
So-
that. You know?
It's just, I don't know, it just made me think there's nothing new under the sun. Stuff that happens today has been happening since the beginning of our existence. Even though, like, that's like the same sin issues that have always happened.
Right.
And we think that we're such a modern, advanced society. And there's kind of this, like, thing with humans that we just assume because we're the most recent society, we are the most advanced. And I mean, granted, we don't have any clear documentation. Like, we do clearly seem to be the most technologically advanced, like, the world has ever been.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, we assume that people didn't have, like, crazy
Any sort of
technology,
technology, yeah.
like, super revolutionary things that they were doing back then. You know? But then, what if back then, like, humans were still interacting with spiritual beings or demons or
Yeah.
trading, like, for, like, power or trading for technology or for
Area
knowledge
51, dude.
and information. And I'm like, dude, maybe people will think this just seems like more just crazy conspiracy hogwash, but I'm like, there's no way our government has not been interacting with. Maybe they think it's aliens or interdimensional beings, but I'm like, there's no way that our government, people in power, are not
they know
trading with demons for knowledge or
Yeah.
technology or power.
No, they know what they're doing.
I just don't believe that kind of stuff isn't happening. And I'm just like, if that happens today, you know, what kind of technology did people get their hands on back then as a result of interacting with spiritual beings, you know, or like the spiritual realm.
Yeah, dude.
And then like people building the Tower of Babel back then.
yeah.
Now you could say like God just didn't like the concept of people trying to, because it was like in the heart behind why they were building the tower was like they were trying to kind of like,
Be God.
yeah, like they're kind of stepping out of bounds, you know.
Right.
But also, I'm like, I don't know, maybe they were like building something incredibly advanced and stepping outside. Like maybe they were also tapping into powers outside of themselves
Right.
to do this thing. And whether it was like Nephilim type people or it was just like demonic, like spiritual beings
Yeah.
helping them accomplish this thing, it would make sense why God would be like, stop. I'm
Yeah, that's
shutting this
kind
down.
of. I've never thought about
Because
that.
God does call us to fill and subdue the earth. God calls us to be creative. He calls us to build. So why would God be so upset about us trying to like accomplish, like build this building? You know, well, because
It's just called the Tower of Babel in the Bible, though. You know.
yeah,
That's what I'm saying. We don't know what it was.
yeah, you don't know what it was, but I don't know. Like to me, it was more than people just building like.
Just a tall
It's
tower.
not like people today building a skyscraper.
Right. That's what we picture it as.
Yeah.
It's just like
It wasn't
oh,
just
it was
like we want to have a tall tower. Like they were.
We wanna-
I feel like they got to have literally been trying to get to God, or they were literally like, maybe it was even a symbol for people, like trying to like trade for like supernatural power to almost like be like
Yeah.
we don't need God.
Yeah.
We can be gods. You know,
Oh, that's an
just a
interesting
theory,
thought.
but like, what if? You know.
Yeah, I've never thought about that. Yeah, it had to. I mean, maybe not. Maybe it was just like the heart behind the people that were building it. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's like just building a tower, like a. Well, wasn't it like we want to reach the heavens? Was
Yeah.
like the.
Yeah.
But
But
also
why does
that
it-
could be translated into something like maybe not literally reaching the heavens, maybe
Mm-hmm.
like, yeah, like being our own gods or like having some sort of power type thing.
And I'm just thinking, like, did people really think that they would build a tower so tall that they would eventually get to heaven?
Uh-huh.
Or
I
again,
guess
is
they
that
didn't. They don't know. Back then, they didn't know.
yeah?
like,
Maybe they were just like
they didn't know it's space.
They
They
don't
probably
know.
thought it
they
was
never even
literally-
saw beyond like the atmosphere. So
yeah, they probably thought it was like literally just above them.
yeah.
know.
But I'm like the modern day Tower of Babel. Is it like our government's like hunger for like power and technology that they're willing to like sell, or like even people in like Hollywood and stuff, like they're literally willing to trade like their soul for
Dude.
power and influence.
That's the thing. if
That's
you
like
don't-
the Tower
if-
of Babel. That's
yeah.
the same heart, you know?
Yeah. If you don't think like Hollywood is demonic, like you need to wake up. Like,
Yeah.
dude, that's all Hollywood. Like everyone in Hollywood, dude. So there's this guy. I don't know. I don't really know what to think about this dude. Have you ever seen Richie the Barber? He's like this
I don't
total
think so.
tatted up, like he's a clown.
Oh wait, I've seen that.
Like his
yeah.
all of his tats
That's
are
so weird.
clowns, and he's got piercing
Yeah, that
everywhere.
dude freaks me out.
Yeah, his hair
I
is
don't
like,
like
it's
it.
and he wears like a little hat or whatever. And he's like a Christian now,
Yeah.
but he's kind of like
He's still pretty rough around the
Yeah,
edges.
he's like, all right. Well, he told me he was, or not told me. He like said that he was gonna go back to school for being a pastor or something.
Really?
But he like was in like the Hollywood ring, and I don't know if he's just like playing into like the like conspiracies or what.
Mm-hmm.
But he's like talking about all the Hollywood like parties he went to and like crazy, you know, like orgies and like all the, and he like will even list names like he was there and he was there, and it's like
Yeah.
he's like saying all this stuff, and I don't know how like realistic that is. Like, would he just get shot if that was real? But
Yeah.
but I think that like that stuff is like the elites in Hollywood and the government. Like I think it's all demonic. They're all like just world leaders and have traded their soul or something. You know, they trade something for power or for knowledge or technology. Like I think all that stuff is real. Like just the amount it's mentioned in like music and just especially now, like music especially. Like all of the symbolism, dude, is nuts. It's like if you don't
It's so obvious.
Yeah,
and people still don't want to see it.
yeah. Like what's that guy's name? Sam Smith.
Yeah.
Like Demi Lovato. Taylor Swift had like some crazy, you know, like demonic looking.
She's crazy.
And then
Travis Scott has some pretty crazy.
yeah, Lil
demonic
Uzi,
stuff.
I just saw some clip from Lil Uzi. He's like, he was saying something about the rapture happening. He's like, if you're still here, man, you missed the rapture or something. And he's like, you're all going to hell with me. You've heard it. You've already listened to my music. It's too late or something like that.
Yeah.
Like at his concert. And
Yeah,
he's just like
he
saying, you
also-
guys are all going to hell with me.
He also has straight up said that he's sold his soul.
Oh,
It's insane.
that's the thing.
amount of artists that
The amount
have
of art-
literally vocalized that.
Yeah, they all say
And
it.
everyone's like, they're just trying to get attention. Really?
Okay,
You
at
think?
first,
You
like
really think?
like 5 years ago, it's just like, oh, it's just like lyrics. You know what I mean? It's just like a cool, like, sold your soul thing. But it's like, what are the odds that, or like, why would everyone be saying that in their song? You know, like,
Yeah.
sold their soul.
And
some sort of,
I also think it's really interesting that the amount of people I've seen, like I've watched people be like, I've kind of watched their whole careers.
Yeah.
They start out like pretty normal seeming people,
right.
and then all of a sudden they have this crazy shift where they go off the rails, have all this crazy imagery, start talking about all this demonic stuff, start talking about how they sold their soul, all this crap. And it's like, why was there such a dramatic shift?
Yeah.
The moment that they,
Right.
and it directly correlates to their fame.
Uh-huh.
Is that really a coincidence?
Yeah,
And it happens
crazy.
for like every single person.
Yeah, it does.
You know? And then how many people who are in that circle, when you hear them speak up, like they straight up do get like silenced, or you see like their career take a hit, or there's so much. It's like so obvious the amount of people that have just mysteriously died after exposing like certain people in power and certain like elite people, you know, who don't want you to share information.
Yeah, it is nuts. This is kind of switching gears a little bit, but do you see that one thing where the guy like he figured out how to run an engine off water?
And you told me about this.
Yeah, like he made this engine, and it's like you can run it off water, and it's like super sustainable or whatever. I think it was like in the 80s, and like right after that, he just like mysteriously
just randomly dies.
Yeah, died or disappeared or something like that, and it's like, why don't they want us to be able to have engines that run off water?
Yeah,
but it's because this is kind of a whole different thing. It's because of control and stuff, but they just want to.
It's not really that different though, because like, it's honestly like I don't know. I feel like I hear myself even saying, or I hear this conversation, and I know there's so many people who would hear this stuff and just be like, "You guys are like just ridiculous. Like you guys are so off the rails."
Yeah, so many people will.
But I'm like, the thing is I know the heart of man. I know my own heart as a Christian and how terrible I can be even knowing Christ.
Yeah.
And then I imagine if I did not know Christ and I didn't live for Christ, and then you give me all of the money in the world and all the power in the world, combined with my degenerate human heart and desires.
Yeah.
Like, there's literally nothing that's not plausible when it comes to, like, evil. And Scripture talks about, in the last days, people will invent ways of doing evil.
Yeah, that's what...
And, like, evil, like, the Bible even says, people will be more evil than you want to believe they will ever be.
You can't even imagine.
It will be incomprehensible how evil people are. And it will be in your face. And then that is literally happening, and people are like, no,
it'll be the
way.
New normal. Evil will be the new normal.
But I'm just saying, like, people still refuse to see it for what it is.
It's because it's inconvenient.
And it's just becoming so obvious, and people still don't want to see it. But to me, it just makes the most sense in the world that kind of stuff is actually happening. Of course, people would sell their soul to Satan if it meant that they got more power and more fame and more wealth.
Yeah.
Of course, people are willing to have somebody killed if it means that they can keep their power and their influence. Like, people will do anything. And you see this all throughout history. That's the other thing. This has been happening ever since time existed. There has always been evil, corrupt leaders who are driven by power and control, and they will do the most unspeakable, incomprehensible things to keep that power. That's what happens when you give humans power and influence and resources.
Yeah,
it gets really bad. And then
if you just give in.
People don't wake up until it becomes like the Holocaust situation. Yeah. And now it's way too late, and now we just have to mourn it.
Yeah.
You know?
No, it's because it's an inconvenience. It's an inconvenience to the life. They don't.
Yeah.
It's just like, well, then I have to, like, think and fight.
Yeah, exactly.
And then it's like, why can't I just go on with my life? And it's like, I was thinking about this. I was like, dude, I'm honestly so excited to live in the time we live in right now.
Really?
I mean, it's like scary,
it gets
but like
exhausting sometimes, I think.
Yeah. Well, it's like scary and it's nuts, but I'm like, dude, we're coming up on like ridiculous, like Bible story, like stuff that you can't comprehend. It's going to be like, we're going to be living in a movie. Like,
we are living in completely wild stuff.
I'm like,
I feel like I'm even like kind of becoming detached from like how
life was.
Just how life was and how life still is. like I've almost become so like numb and just like worn out from like just how insane the world is
That's what.
that I like almost don't even like think
But
about
all
it,
this stuff is just like, and I think other people are waking up too. It's like, all right, this is like a time that like we're not here to just live. Like that's what it wakes me up, and I'm like, I'm not here to just live on this earth. Like this is serious. This is war. You know, like this is a time to fight and to stand up, and like we have to be ready and equipped. And it's like it's like exciting. I'm like, all right, like this is what we're here for. Like this is why we're in this generation, because we're gonna have to stand up and fight. And like, I don't know.
Yeah,
I get kind of hyped.
That is actually really exciting.
Because like people in the '80s, like I love the '80s. I want to live in the '80s, but it's like, what were they there for? You know, like what was their purpose? Everything was perfect. Nothing was wrong.
That's from your perspective, though. You didn't live in the '80s.
That's true, but from what I hear, it's like, yeah, the '80s were awesome. There's nothing.
Maybe it was.
Then there's nothing wrong. Obviously, there's always problems, but I'm just saying, like.
But also, like, we also historically, like, we have not lived through some of the. Just think about some of the stuff that's happened in history.
Yeah.
This is something I'm also so desensitized to. I'm like, oh yeah, like 2 atomic bombs were dropped in Japan. Oh yeah, World War II. Oh yeah, the Holocaust. Oh yeah, like Civil War happened. Imagine living in that. Try to imagine yourself living in the world when that happens.
It's just we've never lived in that. So, I guess, yeah.
So we think the world's crazy right now, but dude, a literal country blew up by an atomic bomb.
Twice.
2 times.
Yeah, that's pretty nuts.
That's wild. But what you're saying is so true, though. Like, what there actually is so much to be excited about, at least when you're a believer, because it's like, all of a sudden, I don't know, it's like the hero you always hope you could be that you see in the movies. It's like, I actually am called, like, I can write this amazing story of my life where I see this like evil in the world and I wake up to all this crazy stuff, but then I wake up and realize like what I'm capable of through Christ and all that God has called me to, and he's calling me to rise up and live a life of like worth and purpose, and I actually have the potential to like be the solution to all the like evil that I'm seeing. Like I actually have the potential to be like a hero, you know, because of like Jesus and what he's done in my life. Like I have the Holy Spirit, like the things that are possible through that, you know.
Yeah.
And Satan also wants to keep you asleep because you don't ever rise up and be who God's calling you to be, you know. Like you don't rise up against him.
He also he wants you to be a weak soy boy. And I'm serious, that's the whole eliminate all masculinity.
Yeah.
That's
true.
That's his plan. He wants you to be a weak soy boy, so you can't stand up and you have no values, you have no morals. It's all like, if you don't think the attack on masculinity is demonic, like you also need to wake up. Like we need men, and we need strong men of God who are equipped in the Word, and like have morals and know how to raise a family, like all that stuff, dude. That's when I'm like, yeah, I don't know. I'm like, dude, we need men more than ever. Like, I have to be a man now and in the future years more than I ever will be. More than I ever will have to. Or, like, I'm just realizing that, like, okay, this is what my purpose is as a man. You know? Like, I'm going to have to, like, no matter what, I have to be strong and I have to stand up. Like, no matter what persecution I go through, type, you know? And I'm like, dude,
that's true.
We need men. We need masculinity
that's like,
more than ever.
And that's
not
like
more than
heavy.
ever, but.
And there's a lot of weight to that, and that needs to be, like, your responsibility as a man and as a believer matters. And there is so much weight to that. And, like, evil triumphs when people fail to like rise up. You know, when everyone assumes like it's not my problem, it's not my job.
Right.
When men
That's-
are like, passive.
that's
I
the
don't need to fight.
Oh yeah,
And
someone
you
else
always
will do
assume
it.
someone else will do it, but when everyone does that, no one does it.
That's what,
And
that's
don't-
what I feel, or like I think like Christian men should feel, and like what I feel. I'm like, no one is stepping up. No one, like we were having this conversation yesterday at the men's ministry because it was appropriate. We're at men's ministry.
True.
You know, but no, we were saying we're like, oh shoot, I just lost my train of thought.
I got too excited.
I did. Oh, let me think about it. Something about soy boys and. We were talking about, like, there's no like big Christian influencers, like big mega church pastors, like promoting biblical masculinity. Like all the big name, like Michael Todd or Stephen Furtick or Carl Lenz. I don't know if you can. I don't know really even any other names, but like no one is stepping up and like saying we need masculinity and like we need biblical. They're not teaching biblical masculinity, and I think like we need to not to like where we're overcorrecting, you know, or like.
Well,
But
the other thing though is there's such a wrong idea of what masculinity is.
yeah,
And like the worldly perspective of masculinity is so skewed. So like when people hear that, they're like, no, we don't need more masculinity.
Yeah.
But like we don't need more worldly masculinity. We don't need more Andrew Tate masculinity. We need Jesus masculinity.
that's the problem.
And what that looks like is humility, serving, dying to yourself, but still rising up and saying no to your flesh and living a honorable life and still being willing to fight against evil.
Yeah.
Like, there's times where you do need to be strong and, like, fight. But I feel like people also think, like, when we say, like, we need to promote masculinity, it's just like,
well, that's the
just
thing.
promote, like, getting in the gym and, like, being jacked and, like, fighting UFC.
Yeah.
You know, which,
I mean, it is.
I mean,
I
men
think
should
personally,
be.
I think you need to be in shape.
I think there's value to being in shape.
You need to, I think
But
you need to.
I also think some of the most masculine men, it has nothing to do with their physical ability.
Yeah, that's true.
And it 100% has to do with the fact that they, like, are willing to put someone else first. They're willing to let somebody win the argument. They're willing to serve. They're willing to give. They're willing to, like, to die to themselves. You know, like,
Yeah, that's-
like Jesus wasn't walking around, like, being lifting weights and being a jacked bro.
Probably was though.
He was, like, spending
Right.
time with, like, the outcasts, and, like, he had, like, humility and he had empathy for people, you know? Like,
That's the thing is the world has a terrible view on masculinity. The view is, you know, oh, men just abuse women and tell them to make them a sandwich. You know, that's what masculinity is to them. When it's like that's not what it is. It's just such a twisted view. Like,
so that's why we
like
do.
men, a true masculine man respects his spouse and
Yeah.
honors her, and it's like we have different roles. I think we talked about this. Like, yeah, we have different roles, but those roles are equal spiritually. Like, oh, physically, yeah, we're not equal. Like, a man's stronger than a woman. Who cares?
Yeah.
Like, we're equal spiritually. That's not, and that's the problem
spiritually.
is it's just a worldview.
And, yeah. And so, yeah, we do need more churches and more leaders to teach what real masculinity is. And we also need more churches to teach what it means to be a woman of God.
Yeah.
Women are really confused on what their roles are as a woman as much as men are confused on what it means to be a man. And I don't know how this podcast just turned into
Dude, it's just like all over the place.
masculinity or women podcast, but
Because
Everything's connected, man. It's all intermingled.
I was gonna try.
You're gonna try to.
I
bring
mean,
it full circle?
obviously, if you listen to it it is kind of jumbled. We talked about like a million different things, but it's like it's just about being awake. Conspiracy theories are real.
It's all right. Well, they can figure it out for themselves when they're listening.
Yeah, that's the thing, is you gotta stay woke.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
But I guess it's connected because when all the stuff we've been talking about with the conspiracy theories and people like just going wild, selling their soul for money and fame or evil that's happening, well, it's because people aren't being the men of God they're called to be.
Yeah,
People aren't being the women they're called to be. People aren't being the Christian that they're called to be. And they're just lackadaisical. They're not standing up and fighting.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like what we're talking about is a result of when people don't know Christ and when they don't know what their identity is and they don't know who they're supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't live in that. You know, but yeah, I think it is super important for men to be men, to be leaders. And when you said like men and women are equal but different,
Yeah.
for some reason people have such a problem with that. But that is such a biblical idea. Like,
That's why they hate it.
well, so this is another whole problem. The world preaches like everybody needs to have equal outcome over like equal opportunity. So
Yeah.
if you are better at this than me, either I have to bring you down or I have to come up. Like we don't appreciate the different strengths that people have. It's not okay for me to be strong in an area that you're not strong in. But that's literally what the church, that's Christ's model
That's how
for the
it
church.
functions, dude.
You're not supposed to be strong in every single area, and you're supposed to fully appreciate where you're strong and fully appreciate where someone else is strong, and understand that you have equal value, but you bring very different things to the table, and you should embrace how you're different and use that to like be who God's called you to be, you know? But so that, yeah, I don't know, people just have this weird skewed idea when it comes to the fact that like men and women have completely different, unique things that they bring to the table. It's like, why are we not okay with the fact that men do things that women can't do and women do things that men can't do?
Mm-hmm.
That's a good thing. And we should appreciate that, the different things that we bring to the table.
Yeah. I just want to read this misogynistic Bible verse.
Okay.
No. It's what everyone argue, like anyone who doesn't know the Bible is, oh, the Bible says wives need to submit to their husbands. Yeah. Whatever, you know. Wives submit to your husbands, to your own husbands as you do to the Lord. For the husband is the head of the wife, as Christ is the head of the church, his body of which he is the Savior. Now as the church submits to Christ, so also wives should submit to their husbands in everything. Husbands, love your wives, just as Christ loved the church and gave himself up for her, to make her holy, cleansing her by the washing with water through the word, and to present her to himself as a radiant church, without stain or wrinkle or any other blemish, but holy and blameless. In the same way, husbands ought to love their wives as their own bodies. He who loves his wife loves himself. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
But that totally is like, if a husband is truly following Christ and submitted to Christ, then when the husband leads the wife,
Yeah.
it should be easy for her to want to submit to her husband.
Yeah, that's the thing. If
He's not asking her to do something that she is not okay with or that she doesn't want to do.
Yeah.
Because he's leading her sacrificially. He's actually leading her and putting her first.
Right.
With her best intention.
That's what because that's the thing is they just don't understand. They don't know the Bible. It's like true biblical masculinity is like the greatest thing ever.
It's
like
actually
a woman
in favor of the woman.
Yeah, a woman would like if it's true, like the woman will want to
Exactly.
follow the man, you know?
Yeah.
And it's not like, yeah, it's not meant to be like, oh, the man is better than you, the man is over you, like he controls you, he's, you know, it's that the man, he's the leader, but like, I don't know, you guys are like a man and husband and wife, they're one, you know, together, and it's like it works as a body, but yeah, I don't know. Yeah. Masculinity. I don't know. Some are. What's that other one where it's like?
Well, there's like passage that says like women shouldn't speak in church.
Yeah, that one.
And women
I don't know what
shouldn't
to
be
say about that one.
pastors and all this stuff.
But
I feel like this could be a whole.
dude, I don't know.
This is also like enough content for a whole podcast just talking about.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if we want to wrap it around.
Masculinity.
Wrap it around to conspiracy theories, or I mean, we could talk about this stuff forever. I could. I don't know.
This is just the everything podcast.
It is.
Just talk about whatever.
I don't know a whole lot about
your mind.
conspiracy theories, but I absolutely love them. Like, obviously, some are jokes, but dude, some are real.
I just, man, the more and more I hear conspiracy theories and then I actually like dig into them and entertain them, the more I realize they're not as crazy as they seem.
No.
And now I'm kind of to the point where like when I hear something labeled conspiracy or I hear it laughed off or I see the media pay no attention to it, that's when I start paying attention.
Bro, you know when something is true is when you're scrolling through Instagram and it says false information.
Yeah, literally. That's the only true
like,
information.
That obviously means that it's real. Like,
yeah.
so if you don't, I don't know. I think that's a dumb move on their part. It's always
so
like
goofy.
It's always like something that's like totally like, dude, that's that's real. I don't know.
That's funny.
But yeah, I don't know. That's the thing is living in this era. I'm like, dude, the Bible is more real to me than ever. Mm-hmm. Like, just seeing like the crazy stuff that's going on. It's like, yeah, the Bible isn't that unbelievable.
Yeah, what's crazy is like stuff is like actually less hidden than it's been in a long time. It seems like.
Yeah.
Like it seems like Satan and just like spiritual warfare and all this stuff is just becoming so obvious.
That's what I'm saying about like this era. It's like, yeah, there's been crazy eras, but it's never been more blatant, I would say. Like World Wars, it was like, yeah, it was terrible, but Satan was still hiding. Like he was still, like it was still.
Yeah.
Like
yeah, maybe it's like,
you know what I mean?
Satan himself is just like
he's starting
revealing
himself
more than ever before.
Yeah, 100% he is.
And the stage is totally set for that
Yeah.
because he is so culturally accepted.
Right.
Or
we're so
culturally desensitized to it. Because anything that has the label of satanic or evil, that's just artistic expression. That's just a cutesy thing. Oh, that's just someone trying to get attention. And we just like, we almost like take it less seriously than anything else. You know, like the instant something's labeled satanic, people take it less seriously now. And so like Satan feels free to just like expose himself now, you know? And it's almost like making people more deceived the more obvious he becomes. Because people are just becoming desensitized now.
Right.
It is crazy.
Yeah.
But people definitely are waking up.
Oh, 100%.
It's like
I see
people don't even have to try. I am seeing people wake up, but now the problem is I'm seeing people who don't know what to do now that they're waking up.
No, I may be making it sound like there's like all this crazy, but like it's just totally like everyone is demonic, demon possessed type thing, you know. But I see almost the same amount of like awesome like revival, you know, like thousands of people in the streets, like worship sessions, you know, in Seattle or California, like crazy stuff like that too. Like I'm seeing all that. I think we probably said it in another podcast, but like where we're seeing this crazy amount of like evil, we're also going to see
Yeah,
like,
where darkness increases, you see light. We'll see light.
Like, yeah,
increase
we're
so
gonna
much
see
more.
like a crazy revival.
Like God will have His victory.
That's the thing.
It's easy to talk about this stuff and make it seem like we're losing and like it's all doom and gloom.
The
But we have
war's
to
already
remember
won.
the war is won.
Yeah.
Like we come out on top of all this.
I don't even
And
get
we
a word.
should be living our life expecting victory over this stuff.
Yeah.
And we should attack this stuff head on with confidence because we know we win. You know?
I think that's how you like. That's such an important mindset to keep. Is that's how you like stay strong. It's like the battle is already won. Mm-hmm. You know, and it's like what happens on this earth won't phase me because the battle is won.
I don't know why I hate this term, but I kind of hate this term, but I feel like it fits here. But Satan totally wants to gaslight Christians into thinking that they are like lost, you know, or like that they're helpless against all the evil in the world. Like,
well, when it's so like in your face, it feels like
it makes you feel like you're losing and all this stuff, you know. But then it makes Christians like respond in either not at all or in really like stupid ways, and then they just perpetuate the problem. It's like we got to remember whose side we're on. We got to remember who fights for us. We got to remember we already have the victory. Yeah. And we have to remember Satan is just a baby throwing a tantrum while he goes down.
Yeah, he's
like
just
he's making as much
head.
Noise as he can on his way down to
and he's trying to take you down with him, right?
And so don't get distracted by this screaming and wailing. You know, like we need to like stay the course and kind of keep our head down and keep moving.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know.
This gets me hyped up. This is where like I'm like
it is
my like testosterone is like through the roof, dude. Like I'm ready to go to war.
Let's go.
But who knows?
Just go to fight the right kind of battle.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I could totally keep talking about bringing up other conspiracies.
I feel like
I don't know if we want to.
Yeah. We
have to hot tub.
I know.
But so, this is just. Have you seen the? This is kind of a funny one, but I think it might be real. Have you seen the? What's his name? President when 9/11 happened.
Bush.
So you know, like,
everyone says Bush planned 9/11.
Yeah. So have you seen in Epstein's island, his mansion or whatever? There's Bush with 2 fallen Jenga towers, and he's got a paper airplane in his hand, and then a paper airplane next to one of the fallen bushes or the fallen towers.
Before it happened?
I don't know if it was before.
Oh.
But like that was in his mansion or whatever apparently, and he's like, what? Like that's when
what is he
like
doing?
that stuff there. It's like people like 5 years ago I'd be like, yeah, that's just like stupid, but now I'm like, yeah, it was probably Bush.
Or it's like, still, why is he so nonchalant about that, you know? Or like,
yeah.
Or why is he on Jeffrey Epstein's island?
Yeah.
You know, like, it's just, once again, people see stuff like that and they're just like, oh, okay.
Like, how this
like,
whole...
Whoa.
Like, that's the that's one of the craziest things, how like, so many people just disregard the whole Epstein thing.
Yeah.
Like, with all the celebrities,
I know.
everyone, all the presidents.
This is what I'm saying.
Like, they just disregard that.
That is one of the things that makes me say, when I hear something's a conspiracy, it's time to pay attention.
I think that's one of the craziest things where it's like, people just disregarded that.
Nobody cares.
It's because, deep down, they're like, yeah, that's probably real, but they don't want to believe that.
Or they don't know what to do with it.
Yeah, it's like,
but again, it's because if you're not a Christian, what do you do about it?
Yeah, it's like, okay, yeah, all the rich, powerful people are in a pedophilia ring. Okay.
Yeah, what are you gonna do about it? I don't know.
Yeah, I get it. I mean, yeah,
but
I don't know.
I don't know. It's definitely like kind of.
That's another like
opened my eyes a little bit to like.
Yeah. And then Epstein like disappeared from his cell or something like that, or like killed himself, and it's like
he pretty much killed himself.
And he was on suicide watch 24/7.
Yeah,
like bruh.
And that's where, okay, that's a thing that actually happened and it was real.
Yeah. And
How
there's all
many
these people
other
that were
places is this happening? And that's proof to you right there. Yes, the president is capable of going to a pedophile's island and who knows what he was doing there.
Right.
Or, yes, people are capable of selling their soul for power and money. People are capable of killing people for leaking information.
I think
people are capable of all this stuff. And it's happened once, and it's gonna happen again.
Yeah, the connection between pedophilia and like the elites and like rich and famous people, like seeing all that stuff, like I feel like it's a requirement, like, and it's disgusting. Like it's totally twisted, and that's the thing. Like they'll do anything.
Yeah.
For that power.
And that's why good people don't get in positions of power, because they come to that point and they're not willing to give what it takes to get to the point of power. You know, it's like that's why you just so consistently see just horrible, disgusting people in control.
Did you see that California? They lowered the the penalty to pedophilia, like freaking raping a child.
I'm pretty sure. Well, I don't know. I didn't see specifically, but
I just saw
I'm pretty sure I just heard that they were just in general trying to legalize it.
Were they? I wouldn't be surprised at all.
Like,
but I saw that they lowered like the penalty or whatever, like a lot.
Yeah, I don't know.
And
it's insane.
That's like.
It's
like,
just
dude.
but that's where it's like.
It's just
Satan obviously has control in the. Well, why wouldn't Satan try to get control of the people in power? Like, how is Satan going to influence the world? How is he going to control the world? Through people who are in positions of power and control. So who's he going to target the most? Obviously, he's going to work it out to make it so that people have to do disgusting, horrific things in order to have power, you know? Like, and we have to remember, like, Satan is, like, the prince of the world. Like, he's been given some reign over the earth. Like, he has the ability to give power to people. He has the ability to, like, you know, give people momentary, like, influence and like pleasure or whatever, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know. That's just where I'm like, I'm kind of like, nothing is really off the table. Like, nothing really surprises me anymore when I hear about this stuff. And people gotta stop just writing off things like that, you know? Or stop just saying it's complete nonsense when we say that there's people selling their soul for power, you know? Or that, like, the elites are all in charge of pedophile rings.
Yeah.
Maybe we should just start finally waking up and saying, maybe that is happening. Maybe we should do something about it. You know? Why do we always assume... It sounds really sad, but we got to stop assuming the best out of people.
Yeah, we do.
Because it's almost never the case. It's always the
Here's
worst
the thing.
thing.
It's like, okay, we know all that stuff.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. It's like, what do we do? You know? Is there really a whole lot that we do?
Yeah.
You know? It's like, it's inevitable that the world is going to go to this place of just, like, mind-boggling, evil, disgusting.
And that's the thing. Our job isn't even necessarily to, like...
It's not to really...
put an end to that stuff way up here.
I agree.
It's not really our job to, like, storm the White House and, like, change everything.
Right, that's the thing. And that's what was our other podcast. I don't even remember what it was about, but it was just about, like, change happens by, like, like being involved in your church and your community, like stuff.
What I will say, the positive thing that maybe comes up from waking up to, like, the horrific evils that are happening is it finally motivates us down here, us little normal people, to get off our butts and attend to our families,
to be men of
to our cities. But, dude, it's such a crazy ripple effect. If everybody started, like, being who they were supposed to be in their families and their cities and raising... Because Because at the end of the day, all this stuff that works its way up to the very top of most people with most power and money, like, they all started as a kid with a mom and a dad.
Right.
And that mom and dad had a chance to raise that kid to either know Jesus or to stand for the right things.
Yeah.
That kid grew up, opportunity after opportunity was presented to them, and they chose the wrong things.
Isn't that nuts?
And they chose to value the wrong things. What would have changed it?
Yeah.
What was valued in their home? What was valued in their church, in their community? Like, how was that kid raised? Everybody that we're talking about started as a kid with the family.
Isn't that nuts? I always think about that. Like, when I haven't thought about it in a long time, but when I would see a baby, I'd be like, that was what, like, Hitler was at one point. You know, just like an innocent little baby. Mm-hmm. And it was like this cute. You know, it's like, oh, it's a cute little baby.
It's
but
crazy.
like, that baby's gonna grow up and like massacre millions of people. It's such
wild.
a weird like concept to think. It's just like this innocent life, and then it just year after year, decision after decision. It's weird.
Yeah.
It's kind of.
I think another big part of like the distraction from Satan is that people are all distracted trying to solve things on like a giant worldwide level. Like they're trying to change the world with a protest or something, and they're not attending to like their personal life. They're not attending to their families. Like they're not working for solutions in the things that actually matter, you know? And so like it's a bunch of people thinking they're doing something when nothing's actually being accomplished at all, you know?
Yeah. If we burn down these cities, there'll be equality.
Equality?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, anyways. I think we should wrap it up. I gotta pee.
All right. Well, thanks for listening.
Because we go forever.
Hopefully it was entertaining. Hopefully you learned something. Hopefully you actually got something good out of it.
That's probably, they're probably just like, you guys are nuts. But also, it's probably just all
But here's the thing.
Friends.
At the end of the day, none of this stuff matters as long as you love God,
There you go.
walk faithfully with Him,
Nice.
and teach other people to love God.
Nice.
There you go.
That's just all of our friends and family listening.